Here's exactly how I recommend starting a real estate photo business when you currently have a full-time job. So the reality about this is most people, at least the ones we work with, have a full-time job when they're starting this. And one thing I want to say before I jump into the two-step process that I recommend is I've seen people kind of be like, oh, well, what about me? Like, how am I going to do this because I have a full-time job? And I think that makes it so you're kind of excluding yourself from the other group of people, but really you're in the same group with them. Like the vast majority of people that start and grow a real estate media business have a full-time job. So don't think that because you do that, it's not possible. And on this video, I want to break down the steps, but you have to at least know that, because if you don't think it's possible, you're not going to do it. So here's the exact 2 steps that I recommend, and they're kind of big steps. There's a lot in them, but hopefully this helps give you some clarity and helps you break down what it would actually look like to do that. So step 1 is the more practical of the 2. Both are very important, but step 1 is like you actually do something here. And that task that I'd encourage you to do after this video, if your goal is to start a real estate media company, if you have a full-time job and you want to transition out of that, or just you want to start it on the side and you want to know what it would look like, step number 1 is to create concrete goals and actually break down and do the math on what it would look like if you were to do this, or what it would have to look like for you to quit your job. And so here's what I would recommend. I would figure out the exact amount of money that you need per month net. Not revenue as in how much the company would need to make, but actually how much you would take home and what you would need that number to be. So here's how I'd recommend calculating that. With your current job, let's say you make $4,000 per month, or let's do $5,000 per month. You make $5,000 per month. Pre-tax. So you take home roughly, let's say $4,000 per month. You're paying roughly 20% in tax. So the amount of money that you need to live after paying tax is $4,000. But if you just made $4,000 a month in your real estate media business in revenue, that wouldn't be enough, right? Because you have to pay for different expenses in your business. You also have to pay for taxes. And the other one that I would encourage you to consider is health insurance. So maybe you already pay for insurance separately than your job, and that's fine. Then that 4,000 number will work. But if your job pays for a portion of your health insurance, you need to add that back in. So let's say you make $4,000 a month net and your company pays $500 a month for your health insurance, you pay the rest. Well, you're gonna need to make $4,500 to actually bring home the same amount to equal your income. And so that's the first number that I'd recommend starting with. Now, eventually the goal in your business is obviously to beat your current income, right? More than likely, there's 2 reasons you want to start your own business. You want to have more freedom and flexibility and control of your time. The other one is you probably want to make more money. But first step we want to do is replace your income. So we've determined that we need to make $4,500 per month in your real estate media business. And you need to do this math for you, but then everything else will apply. Then what you need to do is take that number. I'm going to show you on my phone here the math. We're going to take $4,500, and that needs to be about 80% of what we earn in our business. So we need to earn 85% more than that. And so what we're gonna do is take that 4,500 number, and what we need to do is add 20% for taxes. So I'm gonna times that by 1.2, because that was our pre-tax or our post-tax number. We're actually making 5 at our job. So we need to make 5,400 in net to give us the money to pay taxes and still take home 4,500, roughly, right? These aren't exact numbers, but it gives you a ballpark idea. Then what we need to do is give ourselves room for 25% in expenses of our business. So we're gonna multiply that by 1.25, and that's gonna give us 25% more. So in order to make $4,000 take home or $4,500 take home, we need to earn $6,750 in revenue in our business, meaning our total photo shoots need to equal roughly $6,750. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take $6,750, and if you're not good at math, stay with me. You'll understand the point and it will help you regardless if you actually wanna do the calculations. But also if you say you're not good at math, you just need to, it's a skill that you can build and you need to learn basic math for a business. So 6,750, we're gonna divide that by the average order value that is typical in real estate media, which means like 90% plus of companies will be able to get $250 average order value. And that tells us that to completely replace your income, you need to do 27 real estate photo shoots per month at $250. And if we take that number and we divide it by 22, which is the number of business days in a month, we need to do just slightly over 1 shoot per day. It's actually about 1 shoot every day. It's 1.2 per business day or 1 shoot per day. And that's to replace our income and give us money for expenses and taxes. So we're back to even. Now, from this point, you have 2 different routes you can go. And that's why I like to get to this number first. Route number 1 is you build that income without quitting your job. You keep your current job and you work to replace your income on the side. So you're going to try to get to $7,000 per month in real estate media income. Option number 2 is you just completely quit your job and go all in on building that. I can't tell you which option to do. I personally, and this is where your decision, you have to know yourself or think about what would be more stressful to you. You know, different people have different savings levels, different responsibilities, and frankly, a lot of people don't have any savings, so maybe the option is chosen for you, and that's totally okay. But you have to decide, do you want to go all in, and you're going to have financial pressure, more financial pressure, but you're not going to have workload pressure because you're not going to be working 2 jobs. The alternative is you can take no financial pressure, but you can take workload pressure. Meaning you're going to still keep your job, so the income's still coming in, and any income you make from real estate media is going to be in addition to that. Now, again, that's going to reduce your financial pressure because you're going to have 2 incomes. You're not going to go down, but it's going to increase your workload pressure because you're working 2 different jobs. And so you have to decide at this point which one's right for you. But the cool thing is, now that we've broken down the numbers, we can decide more accurately what's going to be best for each of us, right? So if you found out that that number for you is $20,000 a month, well, you're probably not going to be able to replace that on the side. So you're probably going to have to either stay in your current job longer and be really aggressive about saving and cutting down your monthly expenses. And you make $20K a month, and so you have good income, so theoretically you should be able to save a lot of that. And then you know, hey, I'm not going to be able to replace my income on the side. Or maybe you make $4,000 a month and you have all the time in the world because you don't have responsibilities. Maybe you don't have a family yet or whatever it is for you. And for you, it's going to make more sense to, why not just build both? You have the time. And so it's really important when you're figuring out how to do this to do the numbers for you so that you know what's actually going to be possible and you know what it's actually going to take. If you just go, I'm going to give it a try and see what happens, you might build a business. I mean, I'm not saying that won't work. That's kind of what I did, but it's definitely not the fastest way. And my job and my goal here with the content that I make, with my coaching programs, with everything, is to compress time for you. I want to take all the trial and error I made and compress it. And so that's one thing that I'd recommend is really having a concrete goal and deciding, hey, am I a burn the ships and go all in approach, or am I a let's work double the amount? Both are good options. It just depends on what's going to be important for you and what you're able to do. You have to be very practical when you're starting your business about what's actually going to work out, because this really isn't, real estate media isn't a pass or fail business. It's not a success or failure. It's to what extent you succeed. And if you go through things and do the math right, you give yourself the highest chance of succeeding to the most extent possible. So that's the first thing of 2 things that I recommend you do if you're starting your business with a full-time job. The second one is more about expectations that you're going to give to yourself so that when things happen, you know if that is supposed to happen or if that is usually happening or if you're doing something completely wrong. So the first thing I would say is we kind of talked about 2 options in point number 1. You can go all in or you can do it and work double on the side. And the reality is, I think one thing that's important to know is it's going to be hard either way, and you got to choose your hard. And knowing yourself is really important. Knowing which hard is going to be, easier for you, right? So for me, I'm the type of person that I like to just work more. I don't want the financial pressure. I hate financial pressure. When I'm financially pressured, I don't do my best work. It kind of paralyzes me. Whereas some people, financial pressure motivates the heck out of them. That's not me, right? For me, I can work a lot. It's one of the things that I've developed within myself. I'm able to do it. And so I'd rather have that kind of pressure than financial pressure. And you have to decide. The thing that you can't decide is hard or not. If you're wanting to do this, and if you're wanting to start your business, it is going to be sacrifice. And anybody who tells you it's not is lying to you, right? Because everybody who builds a successful business, it takes sacrifice, it takes discipline, and it's tough. And so the reality is, I think that having proper expectations going into this will make you more likely to be successful. And so here's what I want you to expect going into this. Number 1 is to expect to be scared. Every single person that does this is scared. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I'm fearful. Like whether it's about finances, whether it's about your capability of doing this, whether it's about your ability to build a business, everybody's fearful. The thing that doesn't help you is when you go, oh, I must be different. If I'm scared, it's not right for me. All I'm here to say on that point is every single person we work with is scared. The difference between them, the people who do it, and the people who don't is whether they do it anyway. It's like courage. There's a quote about this or saying that I like. It's not the absence of fear. It's doing something in spite of fear. So everybody that makes this happen has courage. It requires courage. And in order to be courageous, you need something to be fearful of. And so the fear is for everybody. So expect fear. Expect frustration. It's really easy when you're first starting something to be like, oh, like this seems easy. You watch my videos, you're like, I can do this. You do the Instagram method, you get clients. It doesn't work perfectly like that. And again, anybody who tells you just do the simple stuff and it works easily is lying to you. I'm telling you to expect frustration. Like you will for sure be frustrated. You're like, oh, I'm gonna take real estate photos and I'm gonna have hand blended by an editor. You've heard my videos, and then you're gonna get the first photos back and the editor's gonna have sucked, and you're like, wait a second, Eli didn't say this stage. Well, here I am saying that. It's going to suck sometimes. You will have frustration. That's normal. It's not, don't think that you're doing something wrong. It's okay. I mean, that's what having a business is, right? You're a problem solver. You're getting paid to solve problems, and you're solving the problem for the real estate agent, right? Of them having to figure all this out. That's why you get paid. You're solving the problem of how do I find an editor? How do I shoot real estate? What systems do I use? You are solving those problems and you're getting paid for it. So the realtor is using their money to solve those problems for them. The realtor is solving with money and you're getting the money by solving their problems. And so just keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's gonna be overwhelming. I think, there are a lot of things about real estate media that make it a really easy business, but it's not frustration free, right? And that's okay. That's normal and that's good. That's why you're paid to do it. Expect every day not to be amazing, right? Like you'll have some days that, just kind of suck. There's a saying that I like that's, every 10 days you have a bottom 10% day. Every 100 days you have a bottom 1% day. And you have that no matter what you do. But I think a lot of people, they see everybody's success on the surface and they think it must have been perfectly uphill. I think we've all seen that graph where it's like what we think, it goes from point A to point B linearly, but it's really like ups and downs that just end up at point B. And that's going to be like that for your business. And here's the thing that I would say about that. That's normal and that's good. And it goes back to the quote, which is you get hard either way. This is a saying, again, sorry for all the quotes in this video, but I think they're important, at least for me, because it gives me context about what's normal. There's a saying that I really like, which is you're going to deal with hard stuff in your life, whether you try to avoid it or not. But if you don't choose when you're going to experience that hard stuff, it's going to choose you at a time and place that you don't pick. And usually that's going to be later in life in the form of regret or financial difficulties or whatever it is, right? That's if you try to avoid it. If you just do what you're doing today and you never start this business or any business that you have a passion to start. I'm not saying everybody should start a business, but if you're here watching this video, you want to start a business. That's why you're watching this video. And so you either cannot do anything now, you can take the easy road now, and the hard is going to come to you when you don't pick it. Or you can pick your hard now and you can reduce the chances of, you get to pick when it happens and what it looks like. So that's what it looks like. Fear, frustration, not great days. Now, here's what you should also expect, because I think building a business is the best thing that I've ever done for myself and the people I talk to that have built businesses. It is rare, if not ever, that I hear someone be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, of course you should have done it, because it's doing something that challenges you, that helps you grow. And so here's what you should also expect. You should expect wins. You should expect awesome days, right? I remember, there's going to be pivotal days in your business that you always remember. I remember my first $800 day. It's like the clearest memory that I have about my business because it changed my perspective. I was like, geez, there was something my dad said. If you've heard the story, he was like, well, I can't afford to hire you anymore, son, because he would always pay me to do stuff. And it was like, wow, like I created value in myself. So now I have the value and people can pay me for that. So expect wins, expect to learn a lot and become more confident, expect growth. I try to talk as much as I can about this, but when, I make content here now, I've become a more well-spoken person. I've become more confident. I've become more extroverted. That was not me at the start. I was so scared to talk to anybody. I was one of the biggest introverts you could possibly be until I warmed up to people. And I'm not that now. And that's because I've grown. I've put the time in. So that's what you get with business. You grow. When I first thought about sales in a business, I didn't know what sales was. And so I thought it was scary and I didn't want to deal with it. And I didn't know that good sales is just serving people well. And so it's like, I've learned to be what I consider a good salesperson. I've gotten a lot of clients in my businesses, but it's not what I thought it was. And so I grow. I unlocked more potential. I make more money now than I ever expected to make in my life. And I was someone who grew up and I literally had fears about whether I was going to be able to make money. Like I remember thinking that both of my parents are educated. They both went to law school. And so they do well, right? And I remember seeing them and like thinking, how on earth could I pay for this? It was simple stuff too. It was like the electricity bill's $200. Like 12-year-old Eli was like, oh, if I had to earn, like if I get paid $3 an hour from my dad because he didn't overpay me and that was a huge blessing, that would take me 4-6 days to pay the electrical bill. And so now I'm someone who makes what I think of as a lot of money, more than I thought I was going to make every month, small compared to some people, but a lot compared to others. If I'm the person that can go from that to that stage, like your fears around money are probably the same. You're going to grow, you're going to unlock more potential. And that's the benefit of owning a business. And the other thing that I think a lot of people don't expect is when you're thinking about starting a business, like I said, you want to do it for more money and more freedom. which is great. And you get that with a business if you build it right. But the other thing you get is you enjoy the business. I've had some great memories building my business. I've got to meet awesome people. I have a team that I get to work with who I'm excited to work with, that are other people that I enjoy, that are top performers, that are friends. And that's awesome. And so in this second part about expectation, expect the hard, but also expect the best stuff you can possibly get when it comes to this portion of your life, which is your work life. It's awesome owning a business when you build it right and you put in the work and you sacrifice. So hope that gives you some context. You're not alone if you're starting a business with a full-time job. You're more normal that way. And all the best to you. And hopefully this has set your expectations properly about what's required. So appreciate you. If you want to work with us, we'd love to help you. One of the things I did wrong when starting my business is I wasn't willing to learn from others. And so if you're one of the type of people that doesn't need to do all the trial and error yourself, and you're able to learn, you're willing to learn from the mistakes of others, we'd love to work with you. There's a link below to talk about coaching. We'll dive into your market. And even if you're not like, hey, I want to do coaching, talk with us because we can set you off on the right path, even if you don't do coaching. That's the kind of team I built. It's not just about getting people in coaching. It's about giving them an avenue to build themselves. And if you don't do coaching now, you'll build your business. You'll come back and do coaching then. So it's a circle that all works in everybody's favor. And we'd love to talk with you about that. So check out the link below, and I will see you in the next video.